Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I'd like to offer you the courtesy of continuing your explanation if you would like to have it.
Thank you very much, Congressman Waters. I guess the thing I would add is, that there's been a lot of focus on this issue since October 15th. And there's been a lot of telling of the story of what happened on October 15th that is just not based on the analysis or the facts. There was no breakdown in Treasury markets on October 15th. That's not something that's supported, but there was no liquidity crisis. There was a moment, there was a blip, there were a lot of things going on, but we don't see any evidence if regulation contributed to that event. There was a moment in time when there was a lot of off-risk sentiment because of events going on in the world. There was a huge amount of electronic trading going on, and there was a blip in the market that obviously is very much worthy of our attention. But people took from that, I think incorrectly, the notion that somehow that was an event that was caused by a rule. It wasn't. And we're doing a lot of work on it and look forward to issuing an analysis very shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. One of the largest and most frequent criticisms by my Republican colleagues have lodged against the Financial Stability Oversight Council is what they deem to be a lack of transparency with respect to non-bank systemically important financial institution or SIFI designations. And while I think many of their criticisms are merely attempts to hamstring the council under the guise of oversight, I do appreciate that you and your staff have redoubled your efforts to engage with Congress and with non-bank institutions and to open up your deliberations for additional public scrutiny. Mr. Secretary, would you describe precisely what changes to both the annual and to the 5-year designation processes that FSOC made in its February 2015 supplemental procedures announcement? And please also describe how FSOC balances the need for transparency against the need to protect sensitive market and supervisory information.
Congressman, thank you. We made a number of changes that were designed to respond to concerns raised both by this committee, members of the committee, and by stakeholders, which give a great deal earlier notice and transparency to the process to parties that are under review. I want to just underscore that there was a lot of back and forth even before. So this is not as radical a change as it may sound like, but it is more formal, and I think it is something that has led to a good deal of kind of recognition that the system is more transparent, which is our goal. The review process, by necessity, involves reviewing highly confidential business documents that are commercially sensitive. But under law, where we have to protect the documents and the information. We try our best in the context of that constraint, which is a reasonable constraint. It's a constraint shared by supervisors of these institutions as well, to be transparent with the public and the committee at the same time. I think that the changes that we've made have helped, but FSOC is a young organization, and we remain open to suggestions on how to always improve the process.
Last month, the chairman of the full committee and 5 chairmen of each subcommittee sent a lengthy and onerous request for documents regarding the FSOC designation process, which contained at least 13 different subparts. It is my understanding that more than a week ago, you responded to that document request with an offer for in-camera review of 1,400 pages of confidential business and bank supervisory information. Since you responded, my staff has begun to review a review of those materials. To your knowledge, has the majority availed themselves of that opportunity? And would you consider the production of such sensitive and voluminous documents to be consistent with the Council's desire to be transparent with the Congress?
Congresswoman, we did make that offer. We appreciate that your staff has begun reviewing it. Unless it's happened in the last day, I'm not aware that the majority has reviewed it, but it could have happened in the last 24 hours. That's the right way for us to make clear the commitment to transparency while protecting very sensitive confidential information.
Thank you very much. And members on this side of the aisle, would you please allow the Secretary to answer questions and give him the courtesy of not badgering him? This is complicated subject matter that we're dealing with, and he deserves the right to be able to respond in the time that it takes. I yield back the balance of my time.
Time of the gentlelady has expired. The chair now recognizes